Hi, my name is Corbin Connolly and I chose to do my project on the African penguin. I'll put my video link on this slide here. So a brief overview very quickly. The African penguin, also known by the Sphenus damaris, as one of many animals found within nature. They are often found inhabiting southern Africa and many of the surrounding islands. Distinctive features of the African penguin are their black arch of feathers crossing their chest, as well as a small patch of featherless skin next to their eyes. This comes from Raftery 2020. On top of this, there are very small creatures coming in at around 2 feet tall and weighing in at about 9 pounds. So why are the African penguins endangered? Well, they entered the endangered species list in 2010. That also comes from Raftery 2020. And across the past decade and even century, their population size has decreased dramatically, going from hundreds of thousands to just tens of thousands. Their population has died off due to a variety of factors, some of which include human interactions, such as overfishing, depleting their food supply, oil spills killing them off and causing harm to their environment, and hunting through people poaching their eggs and hunting for the penguins themselves, and natural causes as well, such as climate change warming their ocean waters, pushing their prey further out into the ocean. This all comes from Kilduff 2010, and all of these interactions are responsible for the decline of African penguin populations. So, the way that African penguins behave, interact with each other, interact with other species, and interact with their environment all play a role with their placement in the ecosystem. And because of their endangerment status, it is very important that conservation efforts begin to save these penguins. So their behavioral interactions. Hunting behavior of the African penguin involves typically hunting alone or within a small group. The penguins typically hunt for small fish, which include horse mackerels, pilchards, anchovies, and herrings. This comes from Sphelio 2018. Since their main food source is fish, their food supply has been greatly impacted by commercial fishing in the area, and a study conducted between 2011 and 2013 found that areas with lower populations of prey, the penguin needed to swim longer, further, and put more effort into finding their prey. This came from the article How African Penguins, 2019. And as a result of this, as a result of having to travel further, they risk predation more often while they're hunting. During their breeding season, they are known to travel around 20 to 40 kilometers away while hunting for food. And during their off-season, they will travel even further, which shows just how much commercial fishing has affected them. Population interaction. So within a population of African penguins, there are many interactions. For example, for reproduction, the penguins often display monogamous relationships between one male and one female. The male penguins will court the female through physical head swinging motions and vocal calls. This comes from Pierce 2011. Upon successful courtship, the female will lay 2 eggs, which are incubated by both parents. And once the young hatch, the parents will raise them for the first 4 months of their lives, and then they will be independent and be able to go on their own. This comes from Pierce 2011 as well. Other than reproductive interactions, the penguins communicate with each other through their donkey-like calls, and they also help each other preen in areas where they cannot reach, such as their head and neck. That also comes from Pierce 2011, and all of these interactions have a positive impact on their population. So their community interaction. The community of animals surrounding the African penguins have placed them within the middle of their food chain. The penguins on the mainland have predators including leopards and mongooses. Penguins on islands have predators such as cats. Predators within the ocean include seals and sharks. And predators of the young and eggs include birds, snakes, and rats. This comes from Raftery 2020. And then for prey, the African penguins will prey on small fish, which I've already explained as anchovies, herring, pilchards, and horse mackerel, which also comes from Raftery 2020. So their ecosystem interactions. In nature, the African penguins live within warm terrestrial environments and have adapted behaviors in order to stay cool within this environment. In order to stay cool during the day, the penguins will be most active during dawn and dusk, and that they will spend most of the daytime out at sea in order to stay cool. On top of this, their shelters will often have protection from the sun, so that way they don't have to be in direct sun exposure all the time. This comes from Sfetlio 2018. Other than those behaviors, they've also evolved in specific ways in order to survive in their environment. For example, they've developed camouflage, such as their white bellies, being able to protect them from underneath when being viewed in the ocean. The white belly blends in with the sun in the background. And from above, when in the ocean as well, their black backs help them camouflage with the darkness of the depths. That also comes from Sfetlio 2018, and all of these behaviors and adaptations help them to survive in their environment. So, ongoing conservation efforts. Since the penguins have been considered an endangered species since 2010, many organizations have begun taking strides to help save the penguins. One of these organizations is the Southern African Foundation for the Conservation of Coastal Birds, and they take in penguin eggs and chicks and care for them and then re-release them into the environment. And they have found a 77% success rate upon that re-release. That comes from Kielsner et al. 2018. This shows potential for conservation efforts to help save the penguins. And on top of this, on top of the catch and release programs, some laws have even been put in place to help protect the penguins, including protecting their breeding grounds from poachers and anybody altering the environment, and protecting their hunting grounds, such as preventing fishing in those areas. That comes from Sfetlio 2018. And all of these changes have the ability to help the penguins continue to grow in population over time. So for Christian worldview, by taking conservation efforts, the Christian worldview is being lived out, because in Scripture, Christians are called to love God and to love others, which includes taking care of everybody, which means even the animals that share the earth with human beings. This is found in Matthew chapter 22, when Jesus tells people that the greatest commandments are to love God and to love others. So by doing so, the Christian worldview is honored. So why is all of this important? Overall, the African penguins exhibit many various ecological interactions that lead to their position within their ecosystem, and due to some unfortunate circumstances, they have become an endangered species. And this endangerment status has prompted conservation efforts into helping the penguins, and they are showing promise at the moment. An example such as the African penguin should be taken to make it clear that preventative measures should be taken for the future, so that other species do not have to meet the same fate that the penguins are on course of because of human interaction.